Hello, everybody. Welcome in to the PHLY Phillies podcast. No, this is not Tyler Zulli, but it is Jamie Lynch and Rich Hoffman here with you on this Monday. Sorry for the 2-minute delay there. Twitter being down, Rich, is just breaking the system.
It's ruining everything. It's ruining YouTube now, Jamie. Come on.
Yeah. Jeez.
Who would have guessed that,
Come on.
a high-traffic Twitter day?
Yeah.
Good thing the Eagles aren't making a move today.
Yeah. So hello to everybody in the chat. Yes, this is it's been a while since I've cracked the mic on the Philly show. Good to be back. Tyler Zulli taking some much-deserved paternity. Because I said maternity last night in front of my wife, and she was like, she looked at me like,
And now I'm doing the same thing.
yeah. And I just did it to myself all
Sure.
over again. So Tyler taking some time off this week. I'm a big dumb idiot, aren't I, folks? But excited to talk a little Phils, Rich, because I've been in my new life. I haven't been tied to all 9 innings of spring training games because I'm not a complete psychopath. But I have been tuning in from time to time. And we're going to start the show off talking about what I think is about to be the Phillies' new lineup. Before we give that lineup, and I'm sure people in the comment section here have been watching and paying attention and can figure out what that lineup is, what is your overall takeaway on the lineup? It's basically been 3 years of more or less the same. Are you in the belief that a tweak or change is needed, or run it back kind of guy?
So I don't know if it's needed, James. As has been pointed out a bunch by the Phillies.
Very successful lineup.
And a bunch of fans. They win a lot of games when Kyle Schwarber is the leadoff guy. Bryce Harper is on record talking about, well, I like hitting third, and part of the reason I like hitting third is because I get to watch the pitcher, and I get to watch Kyle Schwarber in particular take a bunch of pitches. So unorthodox, yes, but Kyle Schwarber has a great eye.
He was great on base last year.
Yeah, and hit for a much higher average last year as well. Did a better job with that. So I don't think it was necessary, but because they are basically bringing back the entire lineup, okay, you got Max Kepler now, you insert him, but the
German.
the German left fielder. If you just insert him, though, and you bring back the bulk of a lineup that really disappointed in the postseason last year and is very prone to these hot and cold streaks. If you want to say, let's just change something up, I get it. I understand it. I'm not sure it is necessary, but on the other hand, I do understand it. And if you want to get Trea Turner up at the top of the lineup, bump Schwarber down to fourth, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I think as you stated, they were very successful with Kyle Schwarber, and then it's not, if they were to run it back, I don't think it's a bad thing per se.
No.
But it does feel like they're at the point of needing change for the sake of change, which I guess you can portray as a positive or a negative. I'm mostly curious because I was always a guy, and about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, I kind of gave up the I want Schwarber in the middle of the order argument because people were dug in. They were either like for it or against it, and there didn't seem to be a gray area. I always originally wanted him batting fourth because to me, he's just your prototypical smash home runs. I mean, if you're hitting 44 home runs a year, I mean, that should equate to 120 plus RBIs in the 4-hole.
And he'll be good there too.
Sure. Absolutely. And then I backed off the argument because I was like, well, Schwarber's having success, hands off, not going to touch this conversation. It just seems kind of old and beaten down at this point. But now that it's like real, and let's get into the lineup and what we think, because they've tinkered with this in a couple times recently with the lineup. It appears, and after Rob Thompson's comments last week on WIP, Trea Turner is your leadoff hitter, and he seems excited by it. He said, I get to use my athleticism, my speed on the base pass a little bit. That's something that appeals to me. He said, I've done it in the past. I don't believe he's done it since 2019. But he did say, his pitch selection and the way he attacks at bats is different. So I think having Trea on as the table setter at the top of the order could really kind of change a lot. I mean, you get speed on the paths. Hopefully, you get a better approach out of Turner. We'll see what happens, but it looks like Trea Turner probably is going to be your leadoff hitter.
He feels like the swing piece to me in this lineup. When you bring back this lineup, right? And there are guys like I think Bryson Stott is going to have a much better year
Sure.
than he did last year. I think he was certainly dealing with an injury that he talked about early in this spring training, and that happened around May when his stats pretty much took a nosedive right around that time after that funny swing he took in Miami. He's one piece, but Trea Turner is the guy because Trea Turner and Kevin Long is on record talking about this like he's got to have better at bats.
Yeah.
Man. He is the one guy who in Washington, in Los Angeles before this, like he was more selective than he was at the end of last year when he was chasing like 37% of his pitches.
37.9, I believe.
And they were just throwing him junk on the outside and he kept flailing at it. Look, we have seen a couple of stretches, and that is the end of his first season in Philadelphia, right after the ovation, and then the beginning of last year. If you put that out over a full season, Jamie, that's like almost MVP caliber baseball from Trea Turner. And so I don't even need that over the entire season from him, but like let's split the difference between that, the peak and the valley that you've had the other halves of the season, which have been pretty rough, both of them.
Yeah, I think he's the impetus for this, right? Like Kyle Schwarber, we know is a good leadoff hitter. I think you have the same feeling. And somebody in the comments, Ocean View Coffee Shop, what up? Says Kyle's a massive K batting fourth. Potentially, he's not going to have that same protection behind him, but you're making the case that Trea was his protection. But I think Trea here is the impetus for this, right? You're trying to level out those peaks and valleys and make him more consistent across, and maybe getting him first will help in that. He's the guy. They talked about all offseason changing approach, using all corners of the field. I think they're talking about Trea. Like,
oh yeah,
I think all directions or comments are directed to Trea Turner. So I think part of it is like maybe we can shock him back to a more consistent player by putting him first.
He feels like the guy that is not making the most out of his talent. And that's not like to say he isn't trying at it. I think, the way Kevin Long talks about it is that he gets in his head a little bit. He tries to do even a little bit too much at times.
Sure.
Right? Like you said, using all fields, like some of it is just letting the ball get deeper and being a little more selective and then going the other way with it and accepting those because Trea, he got a little pull happy last year, which is where you are susceptible to swinging a junk on the outside part of the plate. So I like it. Obviously, you get Trea's speed at the top of the lineup. You get kind of you get your classic speedy leadoff hitter, right? A guy who is a threat when his hammy is feeling good to steal all those bases.
Well, I was just going to say, if you can get him on, then a stolen base becomes an opportunity. Then your 2-hole hitter can get an RBI with a double. And
so here would be I'm not saying this will happen in the first inning, but if he steals second base, let's say there's like 2 outs in the fourth inning or whatever, you just pitching around Bryce to get the Alec Boehm there.
Fine by me. Like
Alec Boehm is a good RBI guy.
He's a good gaps hitter.
Yeah.
He can drive some doubles in. If you're getting a free base runner in these situations because of it, then that's kind of a plus for the lineup change, right? You're eliminating double play balls if Trea can then steal second. And I think me, you, others that talk Phillies baseball over the past couple of years have been like, send Trea more, like utilize his speed. Him and Bryson Stott last spring training even had I want to see Trea steal more. Like he was kind of razzing him a little bit. So like if he is a leadoff hitter, then there's more opportunities for Trea Turner to steal some bases. If that happens, your number 2-hole hitter, Bryce Harper has mentioned he loved the 3-hole. I am in the camp of get my best hitter as many plate appearances as possible. So I think the difference in moving him up from 3 to 2 over the course of a season can be close to like 25, 27 at bats. So to me, putting Bryce in the 2-hole, one, you have a chance for RBIs if Turner's getting on and stealing bags. But 2, I'm getting 25, 27 more Bryce Harper at bats every year, and that's a win for me.
Yeah. I was at the game last year where Trea hurt his hamstring. Stealing.
He was rounding third.
Stealing home from second. It was like a very wild pass ball. It's an amazing play by him, but then he was out for about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And then
he, as you said, was killing it. before
Well, and then when he came back too, he was like a little reticent to run.
Yeah.
You saw at the beginning.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
he did not want to test
He
that.
came back
hamstring out.
about as quick as you can from that
Yeah.
injury, so I think he was a little hesitant, rightfully so.
Well, hopefully you get a fully healthy Trea Turner. Yeah. So speaking of that, I divvied up my season tickets with my buddies this weekend.
Oh,
so
nice.
that got me excited, right? You check out a little bit of spring training. You watch, maybe like the first 3 or 4 innings in the background when your regulars are playing, when your pitcher is throwing 2 to 3 innings. But that really got me in the mood for baseball. We have I think it's like a 17 game plan. I think it is.
So how many games do you get to pick? Like 4?
There's 6 of us. So,
6.
no, there's a bunch. Yeah.
So you're going to all 7.
No,
how many
no.
of the 17 do you get?
We go to like 11. That's like the number. But it ends up being where, if you can go to like 13, people have lives, things come up. You could probably go up to a bunch of them. And the first game I am going to, which I am very excited, is Friday. I believe it is the second home series of the year against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Pretty early for a Dodgers series.
Well, you're guaranteed to pretty much get a great pitching matchup. Series like that, like it doesn't really matter what game you go to. You're going to have pretty much like one of the better pitching matchups of the day in Major League Baseball. So that's cool.
It was my first pick, and you're right? The Dodgers have that crazy rotation, which they just keep adding to every year. And the Phillies, as we'll talk about in a second here, I'm very excited to watch this rotation.
Yeah, they just signed Clayton Kershaw almost as like a retirement package sort of deal. They were like, here's $8.5 million. We don't really have a spot for you. This doesn't really make sense, but come on down.
Sick of these guys, man. Sick of these guys.
So Bryce Harper in the 2-hole. He says he likes the 3. Do you care about that stuff, or is it just like...
No, like most of this is cosmetic to me, right?
Sure.
Like I don't actually think it makes a huge difference. But if again, the baseball season is a grind, and these guys have not only played one season together, the core of this team is going on 3-4 seasons of playing together. So if you want to shake something up and just give it a different look and try something else new, that's absolutely fine with me.
And I think having Bohm behind him in the 3-hole gives him a little bit better protection than, say, a Castellanos or a JT.
Yeah, Bohm has better at bats.
Yes,
yeah, for
absolutely. Sure. So I think there's a couple plus. You can probably do pluses and minuses to all of these moves, but I think Bryce moving up gains better protection with Bohm in the 3-hole than he did in the 3-hole with either Castellanos or Real Muto. Because without Schwarber in the 4-hole, the team kind of flailed. Like once Reese left, there wasn't that real like power bat in the middle of the order type of thing. Castellanos, Real Muto, those are like 5 through 7 guys. You don't really want them in the 4-hole per se. So I think there's a lot of sense to these moves that are coming. Bohm being in the 3-hole and then Schwarber in the 4-hole. That's a nasty 1 through 4 you got to get through.
Sure. And if Casty is good Casty, and then you're really cooking. Now, the thing that the Phillies have to work around, and this is something that Rob Thompson talks about a lot, the impetus for a lot of these changes is that he wants to split his righties and his lefties up. If you're looking at this order, you have to
go 2 lefties.
You have to go 2 lefties, and the way they're doing it, that is with Max Kepler hitting 6th and Bryson Stott hitting 7th. What do you think about that?
So me and Tyler were talking about this last week off the air. The school of thought is, do you want your Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber better bats being the ones that are back-to-back and say your 3 or 4-hole?
Especially because they're good against lefties, too.
Yes. Or do you want like the worst bats, i.e. Stott or Kepler, going back-to-back in the bottom of the order? I think it makes more sense to have the 2 better bats that hit lefties better be stacked than it would for Kepler and Stott. But I guess they're in an experimental phase here. And if that's the thing, Bryson Stott and Trea Turner are probably the 2 most important players on this team, because if Bryson Stott bounces back to what he was the year prior, he worked great at bats. He saw a ton of pitches. He could really be a thorn in the side for pitchers. Ugh. If he doesn't bounce back, then it becomes, I'd probably rather see Kyle and Bryce.
2023 Stott was just a pain in the butt for every pitcher, right? He was just
11, 12 pitch at bats. Like
he was getting to 2 strikes, and it was like absolutely fine, because he's like, you're going to throw me a good pitch on the outside part of the plate, and I'm going to play Pepper with the left fielder.
Yeah. So Stott and Turner are the keys to all of this. We'll continue tying a bow on this lineup, but let's take a quick moment here to tell you about some of our friends at PHLY. And that's our friends over at Bet365, because whatever the moment, It's never ordinary at Bet365. There's over 90 million users worldwide. They stream over 780,000 events every single year, and they have the best early payout offers across the NBA and NHL. They pioneered live in-game betting, and they offer the widest range of markets available for live in-game betting across 78 different sports. And it's that lovely time of the year. Conference tournament play is firing up at the end of this week, and then we get Selection Sunday and March Madness coming. So new users can get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Win or lose. Sign up, use promo code PHLY365, deposit $10, place a bet for $5, and get that $150 in bonus bets. Again, win or lose. So open that before the 31st of March. And breaking news, you'll get that $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Use code PHLY365, deposit that $10, and you'll get $150 in bonus bets, which can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. And whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in PA. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, you can call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And now, Jamie, let's talk about our friends at Timeline. The cells in our bodies are the building blocks of life, and Timeline is a supplement that works with those cells to help give you more energy, feel stronger during workouts, and preserve health and mobility as you start to age. I know I can feel that. The patented ingredient for Timeline is MitoPure, and that is a postbiotic nutrient that clears out dysfunctional mitochondria, aka your cell's battery packs. Now, Jamie, I was not much of a science guy growing up. So the layman's way to describe that is that with regular use, you will see and feel the difference in the form of improved energy levels, better workouts, faster recovery, more endurance, and more. I could sure use more energy during my weekly pickup game, I can tell you that. And MitoPure recharges your cells, and it helps your body system work better. So MitoPure is shown to deliver double-digit increases in muscle strength and endurance without a change in exercise. Is your age starting to catch up with you? Well, get ready to be your best, most energized, and most revitalized you. So right now, Timeline is giving you 10% off your MitoPure, and you need to go to timeline.com/PHLY today to get started. That is timeline.com/PHLY.
All right, this is the PHLY Phillies podcast. Jamie Lynch, Rich Hoffman, filling in for Tyler Zulli, who's out on paternity leave.
There you go.
Did it. All right, right one.
You can do it.
Yeah. All right, we'll put a nice little bow here on the Phillies lineup, and then we'll get to the pitching staff, which I think is the reason for a lot of optimism this Phillies year. Look, we had the Eagles run, and that was awesome, and I still have the Eagles flag flying out front of the house. I've been thinking about when to switch it over to the Phillies flag, which will be any day now.
Oh, that's interesting. Do you do it like
I
it's
do
like a
it.
holiday, like a seasonal team flag?
That's pretty much all I do is Eagles and Phillies all year round.
Oh, that's good. You don't even do holidays. You just do,
No,
you just do the
just
sports teams that are in season.
And they're the only two flags I have.
Just
Just Eagles and Phillies. Sixers aren't worthy of a flag yet.
No.
Flyers maybe in a couple of years. So like I'm starting to get excited for the season. You know, me and my wife got our opening day tickets with Julia here, our head of production. So we're heading down. I know
Great.
you're splitting up the tickets, and like
Oh,
the weather's turning.
it's
Like
my favorite.
the baseball optimism is slowly approaching because I think people are sleeping on the Phillies, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they are that interesting of a spring training team,
Not
just
at all.
because there's not a lot of new faces, and even we'll talk about him in a second. But the two new faces, okay, you have Luzardo, that's fine, that's a new face. But the most exciting guy on the team, the most exciting new addition, he's not getting here till July.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
on the team, but he's not getting to like the actual mound and pitching for this baseball team until later in the summer. So it's not the most like interesting spring training team. But once they start playing the games,
Oh,
it'll be
yeah.
fun. Yeah,
It's gonna be fun.
the one thing I will say with divvying up the tickets, by the way, it's once you get past like opening week, those April and May games, they can get
They're
a
a
little
slog.
they can get a little cold too, right?
Yeah.
You just don't know what type of weather you're
Yeah.
getting until like late May, I would say. So
You need a good Phillies hoodie. Yeah,
Yeah.
still in the mix. How do you guys do it? Do you just go 1 through 6 snake?
we do 1 through 6, and then I would say for like the last, there are some weekday games in July that get left over, and
Yeah.
then we kind of divvy them up. Some earlier games that are harder for people to get to. Not as hard for me to get to. We have
Do you
a little
guys
bit.
stick in the same seats and section, or do you change it up?
Yeah, same section. We've been doing it for a few years now.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, out in left field.
Nice.
Haven't caught a home run ball yet, though.
I've had 2 chances. One, a home run ball in left field. I think it was Jimmy Rollins. Seat right in front of me. I tried to do the reach over grab, but the guy got it from me. And the only other one I had a legit, like, really good shot at was a screamer. I was in the Diamond Club, and one went straight up, like above the seat, above the height of the stadium. And it was coming right to me. I was on the aisle in the Diamond Club, and I could just hear it like whizzing. And I was like,
You put your hand down.
I chickened at the last second.
Good.
Yeah, I totally cowered out and was like, that's gonna break my hand.
So here's
it bounced above the club box. That's how hot it came in.
So I think that's absolutely the right move. I can't believe people. So again, I have not caught a home run ball with my bare hands, and I'm sure that is exhilarating. That has to kill.
It has to hurt a lot.
That has to kill. And this idea that you're gonna like bring your glove I'm not gonna bring my glove to the game. No. What do you mean? On the off chance that I catch a ball, I want to eat a sausage pepper onion in one hand and drink a beer in my other hand, or scroll with my phone. But okay, so I'm sacrificing catching a baseball then. That's what I'm doing. Yeah. So
I'm like, all right, well, my hand's not broken. I didn't get a ball. What are you gonna do? All right, to
You're
round
going
out
home happy.
The lineup talk here. So Castellanos 5, and then it's kind of up in the air a little bit in the 6 hole. Do they go Kepler? Do they go Stott? I don't really, I know Max Kepler's stats. I've looked at the back of his baseball card. I can't tell you I've sat here and watched many Max Kepler at-bats and his understanding of the strike zone, and does he send things to the opposite field? What's his plate discipline? So I can't really make that call. I'll just trust Hopper to get the right 6-hole hitter in. I think Kepler has been there more than Stott has this spring. So it looks like maybe Kepler could be in the 6 hole, JT in the 7.
JT 8, right?
Is JT 8th? Stott. Kepler, Stott. Like, that bottom of the order is still up in the air. I think what's locked in is Marsh in the 9 hole.
I don't think you want, with the 2 lefties, now maybe they do it. Maybe they do it because they were doing it at the top of the line.
You could go, because Stott has a little bit of that leadoff. Maybe you kind of reset with him in 8.
I don't want Marsh to be part of the back-to-back lefties.
It's a good point. It's a good point.
He's not as good at.
So you would go Kepler, Stott, Real Muto, Marsh.
I think that's what it's going to be.
Okay.
That's or Stott, Kepler, Real. The 2 lefties you could.
It seems like he doesn't know yet. Like, he's still tinkering with this lineup enough. So all in all, it's a fairly exciting lineup. But as you said, the big changes are coming on the pitching rotation. This is the reason I think all Phillies fans should be excited at their chances this year. We know what Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler are. You're going to get one of the best pitchers in baseball at the top of the rotation. Aaron Nola, he's durable as hell. He's a really good pitcher. The public, ridicule he gets is a bit much at times. We all know what he is.
He frustrates me, but I will say, just when you're seeing all of these huge free agent contracts that are handed to guys like Blake Snell who don't pitch any innings, which he pitches those innings very well. I don't want to shortchange him there, but like Aaron Nola's durability and the length he gives you, and just the help he gives a bullpen, every single year, I can appreciate that. Like, you saw, Tyler was talking about it a couple shows ago. Aaron Nola did a spring training interview, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't throw for like 2.5 months in the off season." He's like, "I'm just saving the old arm for when we need it." So that's a dude who clearly knows how to navigate a season.
Yeah. Now the number 3 guy in your rotation, I'm assuming it's Ranger Suarez again, who is in a contract year. I would say Christopher Sanchez is probably your 3rd best pitcher from the looks of it. I mean, both of them are exciting.
I think they're going to pitch somebody else number 2, right? You got to split the righties up.
Yeah,
right?
I would imagine maybe Sanchez goes 2, Nola 3, Ranger 4, or Ranger 2, Nola, Sanchez 4.
One of those 2.
Whatever it is. Those 2 are very intriguing. One, in that Ranger is in a contract year. And with the addition of Painter coming later, we'll get into all that in the 6-man rotation. Ranger has the possibility of the playoffs, of going to the pen and helping you there. So he's a very intriguing guy in that he's playing for a large contract. Typically, you get guys' bests during those large contract years. The question with him is, can he remain healthy through a full season and get over 150 innings?
Well,
TBD there.
Most of these seasons he starts out hurt and then he gets better. Last season he started out amazing,
and Cy Young winner for like 2 months.
Yeah, and then the back issues flared up, and he was pretty dicey the rest of the way, to the point where he got into that Mets playoff game, and he was like, that was like the ballsiest few innings I've ever seen. Like he had absolutely nothing going on, but he was able to do pretty well in that spot. I will say, like, I love Ranger Suarez. I
So do
would
I.
say, as far as Philadelphia athlete, not just Phillies, but just entire Philadelphia athlete fan approval, I'm sure Saquon Barkley's probably number one right now, but Ranger Suarez has been really high for a long time. Like, love that dude's attitude. He's a lot of fun. Clearly loves pitching in big moments. Like, that doesn't phase him. He's like, okay, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, put me wherever.
And you heard his comments earlier in spring training where he's like, this is my childhood club. This is the team that I signed with as a kid, basically.
Yeah.
And that he's been with. So if this is the last year, let's say Ranger goes out and kills it, the Phillies might be priced out, right?
Absolutely.
If he earns himself a big contract.
I'm expecting them to be.
So let's enjoy Ranger for one last year, because
swan song.
Hopefully he gives us that full season, and then he goes and gets paid after the year. But maybe he has a few clubhouse celebrations with some beers because the Phillies are winning playoff rounds. I really enjoy Ranger. The guy that I am most excited about, though, Jamie, besides Painter is the guy I'm most excited about.
Jesus, nobody mess with the Jesus man.
No, I'm not. I mean, I am excited about Luzardo. I think, like, as
Zach Berman wouldn't get that movie reference, would he?
No, he would say, like, I saw what you did there, though.
Nobody mess with the Jesus man.
I'm excited about him, but no, the guy I'm most excited about is Sanchez.
Sanchi, as
Dude,
Topper calls him.
Dude, he's yoked.
He apparently has gained a mile or two per hour on his fastball. He looks great.
He's throwing 98.
Yeah, he's going out there. And when you have one of the best changeups in baseball, if you can up your fastball, your 2 or 4 seamer up to 98, 99, and then drop a 91 mile an hour like changeup on him, like, good luck. So he's primed for, like, you talk about one of the greatest trades in Phillies history. If he puts together another,
he pitched against that guy a couple weeks ago too.
That
guy, I should.
He's actually I think he was doing all right in spring. But Christopher Sanchez looks like he's primed to take that step, kind of to stardom. Like last year was the
Curtis Mead.
Yeah, Curtis Mead.
Poor Curtis.
He had that like baby step last year. Now, if he can replicate what he did last year and improve on that,
I'll just pitch better on the road.
Yeah, that's all it comes down to.
The home stuff was awesome. Yeah,
Sanchez is really exciting this year.
Well, and if you read some of the stories from back in, I believe they acquired him in 2019. So
sounds about right.
Yeah, 2019 to 2020 off season. And if you read the stories at the time, the GM at the time, Matt Klentak, said, he was like, yeah, our scouts just said, like, man, this guy throws complete gas, which is funny because the first time we saw Sanchez in the majors, he was only throwing like
94, right?
Yeah, like 93, 94. But that is because, the Phillies saw that he threw all this gas, but he wasn't a complete pitcher at this point. And they said, throttle it back a little bit. Like, let's learn how to pitch, right? And develop that changeup. So it's clear that he has learned how to pitch. And they said, okay, now you know how to pitch. Let's ramp it back up and see if you can become this complete pitcher. I think he can. I think that is a devastating combo. We know how good his changeup is. When a couple years ago, when he first started to catch on with this team, and you saw that changeup,
yeah,
he just even as he was giving up some runs to like a great Braves lineup in some of those games, you were just like, "Ooh, this guy's changeup is pretty filthy." Then he puts it together and has that great season last year. Gets rewarded with the contract, which I think
is
very
bargain,
very team friendly for the
bargain
for the Phillies, and part of the reason I think Ranger is more expendable.
Absolutely.
But you're right. You add a couple MPHs to that fastball.
Yeah.
I think that changeup can get even better.
Yeah, and then Jesus Luzardo as a number 5 in this league is just like it's an embarrassment of riches. What a plus that is. And then Andrew Painter, as we're wrapping up here, Rich. Rob Thompson did say last week again on WIP, his yearly interview up in the radio booth. He said when Andrew Painter joins the club, and I saw Chris and Ray talking about it in the chat here, he will be as a 6th starter. So when he says that, it's one of those things where I'm like, I'll cross that bridge when I get to it, because I'm assuming not everybody's going to be healthy then, and he can just slide in and probably be the team's 5th. We'll see. If it does become a 6th starter situation, then you have to, kind of juggle the Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola, scheduled rest and who likes what and this and that. It becomes a little bit of a juggle for the manager, but his problem, not mine. I'm just assuming somebody will be hurt.
Yeah, it's. I mean, they have 6 starters. Like when those guys are healthy. Did you see Topper the other day doing the live interview as
Yes,
Luzardo gave up
three home
straight
runs.
gopher balls on 3 straight pitches?
The second one, he kind of looked at it like, "Oh boy, that's far."
It's like, whoa, that's high.
Name me a park that wouldn't be out of Yellowstone.
It's spring training.
Yeah, who cares? But I am excited. Luzardo is a 5th. Like,
Yeah.
there's no sieve in this rotation. Like, it's one of those where you get a ticket to a home game and you're like, all right, I'm gonna get a decent pitcher.
Man.
Any spot it is in the rotation is gonna be solid.
We talk about my 16 game plan. I was on
those are rough days.
I was on like a month straight of getting Taiwan or Colby Allard.
Yeah, that's a tough
or Tyler
pill to swallow.
Phillips. Yeah, it was. I kept snake eyes.
As we get out of here, Taiwan Walker, I think he's making the team.
Got a little giddy up on that fastball.
Yeah,
Throwing back 93. Get the sinker going
coming
again.
out that he feels healthy. He feels good. He did a weighted throwing program, and who knows if he can find that splitter? I guess you can be that middle relief guy.
If he's throwing 92, 93, like maybe. Yeah, I'm not expecting a ton, but yeah, it seems like he is having a decent spring.
Yeah.
And by the way, like at this time last year, he was getting shelled in spring training.
So we'll see, but it looks like Taiwan Walker might be here. Who would have thought? All right, that's going to do it for us here today on the PHLY Phillies podcast, filling in for Tyler Zulli. Milton Williams is a Carolina Panther, by the way. That happened.
Twitter is working.
I don't know if it was Twitter or Blue Sky or what, but word has gotten out. Milton Williams going to the Carolina Panthers. Be sure to tune in for another like 2.5 hours. Zach, Bo, and Fran doing the Eagles free agency frenzy in the studio just down the hall. So hop on over to those guys to give you all the latest around the NFL. Rich, thanks for filling in.
Yeah, man.
Good to talk a little Phillies baseball.
I'm excited.
I'm excited for the season too. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So Tyler's going to have stuff coming out Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I believe Devon is in with Jim Salisbury on Friday. So we've got you covered. Thanks for tuning in. Hit that like button before you get out of here, and like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. That's going to do it for us here today. Have a great rest of the Monday, everyone. We'll see you soon.
We all silly like the mayor.